All right, Foxy Gardens here again at this one particular property here that we do. Just me today. It was a day of mowing and weed whacking and blowing, I guess, because blowing the grass trimmings around or away or into the lawn or whatever. Because as I've said before, I use a mulcher. So the mulcher mower, kind of puts the mulch like on top of the grass, and if you go over it a couple times, it kind of like is good for the grass, arguably. So some people maybe don't like that effect because it means you have kind of mulch sitting on top of your grass, but it's there to fertilize your grass, really. So I guess that's sort of the moral here, because people if you have a mower that's launches the grass trimmings in a certain direction, they end up somewhere too, right? There's no it's not like the lawnmower eats the grass and you don't see it again. It either gets mulched underneath the mower blades, or it gets tossed and shot into some direction, right? So usually off to the right, and it's sort of the same thing. You still have to mow it and remow it, and if you don't if the grass is too long, then you're gonna have sort of like mulch sitting around, and it's needs to kind of be like distributed so that it's not like in big heaps on the lawn. But this lawn is pretty fast growing, I'd say, because I was here about a week and a half ago, maybe a week ago, and it was rainy, and I did this lawn that basically was a 1.5 foot high. So today when I did it, it was like maybe 3/4 foot high. It was not as bad, but it was still pretty tall. So anyway, I did the mowing, and then I did the trimming around the edges with the weed whacker, the still here, which every day you when you're doing this stuff, you run into some kind of a little thing that kind of like slows you down. Like for instance, today I quickly ran out of cord. I had to re-cord it, and then the cord basically got stuck in the thing. So that's an extra like 10 minutes, or depending on how good you are with this thing, because you have to I've talked about this thing many times. It's a good weed whacker. Like it's pretty industrial strength for like your residential situations. I couldn't imagine really like using a more powerful one than this, but it when it gets stuck, then you have to open it up and take the stuff out, and you see if anything's stuck in there, and then put it back in, and it takes a few minutes, because the thing that is the gripe that I have is like this thing is kind of like you have to kind of like there's not really a good grip. It's not like there's a handle on it, so you have to kind of like use your little stubby fingernails to pry it off. And if it's on there tight, then obviously it's gonna be kind of some effort to like kind of claw it off, and then you stick the stuff in. I'm pretty good at it now, but and it carries a goodly amount of gas. The other thing that happened with this thing is there was a thing, like something you'd quickly forget about, because like this on off switch, it was down, like it was like let me see if I can get in there. So it was like this, but it was like a millimeter too high, so the thing kept kind of stalling. And then I kind of was like weed whacking away, and I'm like, what is it stalling for? This thing never stalls. And then I realized that this thing was just like one hair from being fully down. So as soon as I pushed it fully down, the thing just like took off like a rocket. It was just like, but it was stalling, and I was like, oh my god, this thing's stalling. No, not the still S38. It doesn't do that, it doesn't roll that way. But I have to do one little piece over there. And the other thing that happened is out the front, there's like on the one side of the property, there's like people in the driveway this time, as in like their vehicles, and there's like a nice white SUV there. And basically, as I was getting close, I started seeing that because this thing basically kicks up a shit storm of like trimmings and stuff. It's just like it launches them, like it launches rocks, it launches everything. So as I'm getting closer, I'm like, wait a second, that's like a pristine white SUV, and if I weed whack next to this thing, it's gonna something's gonna hit this thing. Like, even if it's a little piece of grass, it's gonna, like, you know, be stuck to the side of it, and these people are gonna be like, okay, it's game on now. So I'm like, I was cognizant of that, and I'm like, okay, don't weed whack too close to that driveway, because, and like, I had to use my body to like block the stuff, so it's like, it's not gonna fly in that direction at all. It's gonna be blocked by me. As I'm approaching it, I have to like consciously, you know, turn my body so I'm not, you know, not letting the trimmings like fly in that direction at all. So that's fine. And then I guess there's also the tulips that are in this yard, which I guess they've like fell off, or I'm not really sure. I guess before they were like up, right? I think they were up before and you could see them. Or maybe, I don't know. Like, I thought there was tulips on these things. Did she do something? I don't know. But like this green patch, as I'm mowing and I'm like in the, you know, like a fever dream of just like green mowing action, I'm like coming up here and I'm like, okay, don't kill the tulips. And I just like go around it. I just like go around and basically come back around and like have to keep telling myself like consciously, don't kill the tulips, because if I kill the tulips, she's gonna be pissed. And that's sort of understandable, because she's told me don't kill the tulips, but they're just like in a spot where it's like, you know, they're her precious tulips, and it's like, they're so green and like unassuming that you just like for 1 second, if you gap out while you're pushing the mower, you easily could just run them over, just like you could run over anything else. You have to be cognizant of like, that's the word, right? Cognizant of, aware of, you know, other little things that are out here. Like, there's not too many rocks that I run into, but there's other things like that I, you know, come across when I'm like mowing that I have to like, you know, be aware of, because otherwise I'll run over some rock or some kind of object or some kind of toy, or like there's a dog in this house. I hear it squeaking at me every few minutes because it knows I'm here. But it's just like, woo! And then I'm like, well, one of its toys could be out here. And so there's a lot of things to kind of look out for. But I think in this job, I might actually have to up the price, because there's just, it's not the smallest property. There's a lot of lawn to mow, and there's a lot to do, really. Like, even if you don't touch the gardens, you're still going around everything, and you have to like trim everything. It grows really super fast. I'm not even weeding any of this stuff. Like, there's weeds here that I don't have time to even weed, which you could say, well, you know, turn off the camera and just weed it right now. But it's like, no, I'm getting paid a certain amount to do a certain job, and she's fine with it. I'm fine with it, basically, except for it is taking me longer to get it all done. And my mower's like, you know, the gas is expensive. It's using a lot of gas. This thing uses a lot of line. Even if you're careful, it's like, and I still have to do one more piece, so I'm gonna like take off. But that is the adventure of the day, the vlog.